that get on the page. So far, well, tomorrow's another day, and there are other events when we.
Hello, all. We'll start in just a minute, just letting people in. Welcome, my friends. It is so good to have you all here. For those who have been with us and those who are joining us for the first time, welcome. I'm Margaret Somerville, and it is my great privilege and pleasure to be able to gather the people who lead alignment every Sunday evening from various traditions. And Molly is a dear favorite of ours to come and lead sessions for us. And Molly, I have been sitting with your title all week, waiting for this shelter from the storm, and just really thinking about the fact that we come together in alignment on a Sunday evening to share prayer practices from different traditions. And of course, we are looking for the shelter from our own storm and cultivating our own well being. But we do it in community here because we're also hoping to cultivate the well being of our communities and our nation, so gravely in pain in so many different ways, and of course, around the world. So, what a privilege to have you back again, Molly, and thank you all for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much, Margaret. It's always a pleasure to be here. I want to just remind folks that as you come in, you're unmuted, so please make sure that you're muted now um, as we get ready to begin. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen with some slides. I forgot to ask you before, Margaret, if I could have the co-host permission for that. Thank you.
Can I put on the?
Once again, folks, you're unmuted as you come in, so just make note of that. Thank you. Okay, so as Margaret mentioned, this is the title for our session tonight, Shelter from the Storm. And this really was inspired by the Bob Dylan song of the same name, which I am going to play tonight. But the theme, aside from the actual title, the theme really has to do with me going through a lot of storms in my own life and knowing many people who are also in the midst of some tumult personally, which of course we all are at different times in life. But for me, the last 6 months or so has been really earth shattering in several different ways. And so it's very much forced me to reevaluate what are the shelters that I can seek in my life, within myself and outside of myself, in my communities and in my spiritual practices. And so I'm hoping that from me sharing with as much authenticity and vulnerability as I can muster tonight, I hope that this will be of help and service to you, and that it will create a space where we can reflect together and where you can participate to your comfort level. So please, if there's any time that you need to turn down the volume, or if your camera's on, if you need to turn your camera off, or you need to step away from your device, if it feels too intense to you, please give yourself full permission to do that. And if you feel like you want to lean in a little bit more, please give yourself permission to do that as well. So I wanted to show a visual here to get us started, and I'm hoping that you'll be willing to look at this painting with me and to also take a couple of breaths and find some grounding for yourself as we look at this image together. Many of you know that I like to create visual art, usually collage, and I just haven't had a lot of inspiration to do that recently. So a couple weeks ago, I went to, actually just a little over a week ago, I went to the art museum, the Philadelphia Art Museum, to see a Matisse show. And this is a large-scale work called Window at Tahiti #2. And I've seen other images from this kind of series or this period in Matisse's career before, but I'd never seen this one. And I loved it, and I will share a little bit more about why I loved it and was drawn to it. But before I do that, let's just look at this image together and take some time to feel grounded wherever you are sitting or lying down. If you happen to be up and about, maybe you could stop and pause for a moment and just feel the earth beneath you. However you get in touch with that stability. And connect with your breath and take a couple of gentle breaths in and out at your own pace. And then maybe deepen the breath slightly. And so continue to connect with your breath here, and also notice whatever you notice about the colors, the shapes, the lines in this painting. And when I saw this, I felt like it represented a boat coming into a port, coming into a period of rest between those trees there. The sea's looking pretty calm. And yet out in the distance, I kind of took that darker burgundy area in the sky and the red clouds to be something a little more ominous, maybe a storm out there that the boat has just sailed through, or perhaps something that is that the boat might be heading toward once it leaves the port. And yet with some of the uncertainty that I saw in this painting, I also felt comforted. I felt inspired by the vibrant colors, by the flowers on the border. To me, those felt like pieces of reassurance that things would be okay, even though the storm is out there in the distance. And so knowing that, of course, art can bring us so many different messages and can have so many different interpretations, just like music, just notice what you notice about this painting. And if any time, I see there's a comment in the chat, if at any time you want to use the chat to share, you are welcome to do so. And this is an excerpt from Shelter from the Storm by Bob Dylan, and I'm going to play it a little bit later in our time together. But for right now, I just offer this verse for you to read. I'm going to read it out loud too. Not a word was spoke between us. There was little risk involved. Everything up to that point had been left unresolved. Try imagining a place where it's always safe and warm. Come in, she said. I'll give you shelter from the storm. So I invite you to think about perhaps some of the things that might be unresolved for you. Maybe some of the places where you've taken risks or where there wasn't much risk. Maybe some of those times stretched you, or the times where there wasn't much risk, it felt a little safer or more comforting. But whatever the scenario, I offer the chance for all of us to think about a place that feels safe and warm in your own life. It might be a space inside of you. It might be your breath. It might be a place in nature. It might be a connection with a higher power. It might be with your family, a pet. But just take a few breaths to think about where that shelter is for you. Where is that safe and warm place? This is a flag. I have some prayer flags that are in my apartment. And this is a flag I've been looking at a lot recently. It says, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter. And that symbol is the symbol of the parasol, which represents protection. It's kind of shielding that lotus flower underneath of it. And so one of the things that I've realized is that I have a lot of sources of protection and shelter, and I have to seek those out. I also have many people who have been offering those to me, but I recently have realized I really need to seek those out and to also ground myself in the ones that are within me and the ones that I feel are given to me by my spiritual sources that are given to me by God. So I'm going to, in a moment, share with you a poem that I wrote around Christmas time that was inspired by O Holy Night. And my experience of really latching on to these two lines from O Holy Night. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices. And so for tonight, I decided just to kind of make a chorus, kind of make a refrain out of those two lines to lead into a poem and lead out of the poem. And then we'll do some more music. So for me, this time of great difficulty in my life has necessitated me to kind of fall to my knees. And then from that place, I've really been able to hear the voices that I need to hear. I've been able to receive the messages that can help me stand back up again. But first, I really had to fall to my knees in that posture of desperation at times. And so I'm going to share these lines with you. This is really an improvisation. Of course, you'll recognize the melody, but I don't exactly know what's going to come out. And then I'm going to share a poem that emerged from my own performance of O Holy Night, which I do every year at our at Old Haverford Friends Meeting House. And it's a poem that I wrote right after I did that performance this year. Excerpt from O Holy Night, written and underlined on my tender heart. Fall on your knees. Feel the awe and the devastation of what it means to be human. From this place of wanting, remember the glimpses of grace and mercy, of abundance. The moments when, fully present, you opened your very being, the unity with the divine, others, and your true self. Recall what it was like to have the icicles of fear melt away from your limbs, transforming into droplets of reassurance, preparing the eager ground for your descending roots. Just the other night, you looked into the eyes of your beloved and silently agreed that all shall be well. Look into your own eyes and promise the same. We return to Shelter from the Storm, the same verse from the Bob Dylan tune. And many of you may know this song. So I think if you do know the song, you know that it's very long. So I just wanted to only put this particular verse up here because I felt like it captures a lot of the content and the themes of the song, but it does so in an open enough way that I'm hoping everyone can kind of take something from it for their own lives. One thing I notice when I play Bob Dylan songs is sometimes people will say like, "Oh, I heard the words in a different way," or I heard the words in some cases for the first time. Of course, everyone who reinterprets or covers Bob Dylan is doing so in a totally different way than him. So I hope that you hear something new from the song if you've heard it before, and that you also take something away from it if you're unfamiliar with it. This song is in part about the breakup of his marriage. And one of the things I've gone through recently is the ending of a very long-term relationship. But there's also a lot of religious and spiritual imagery in this song, which is not why I chose it, but is something that I remembered as I was playing it. And so I hope this gives you another opportunity to think about some of your own shelters from the storm, and what you may be able to access right now, whatever you're going through in your life.
In another lifetime, one of toil and blood, when blackness was a virtue and the road was full of mud, I came in from the wilderness, a creature void of form. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. And if I pass this way again, you can rest assured I'll always do my best for her. On that I give my word. In a world of steel-eyed death and men who are fighting to be warm, come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Not a word was spoke between us. There was little risk involved. Everything up to that point had been left unresolved. Try imagining a place where it's always safe and warm. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. I was burned out from exhaustion, buried in the hail, poisoned in the bushes and blown out on the trail, hunted like a crocodile, ravaged in the storm. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Suddenly I turned around and she was standing there with silver bracelets on her wrists and flowers in her hair. She walked up to me so gracefully and took my crown of thorns. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Now there's a wall between us, something there's been lost. I took too much for granted and I got my signals crossed. Just to think that it all began on an uneventful morn. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the deputy walks on hard nails and the preacher rides a mount. But nothing really matters much, it's doom alone that counts. And the one-eyed undertaker, he blows a futile horn. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. I've heard newborn babies wailing like a mourning dove, and old men with broken teeth stranded without love. Do I understand your question, man? Is it hopeless and forlorn? Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. In a little hilltop village, they gambled for my clothes. I bargained for salvation and she gave me a lethal dose. I offered up my innocence, I got repaid with scorn. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Well, I'm living in a foreign country, but I'm bound to cross the line. Beauty walks a razor's edge, someday I'll make it mine. If I could only turn back the clock to when God and her were born. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. As we get ready to bring our time to a close, I have this image of a lighthouse, this photo that I took when I was recently in Florida. It's a little lighthouse, but a lighthouse nonetheless. And I would just invite anyone who wishes to put in the chat one source of light in your life that you might like to share with the group. Anything that either gives you shelter, brings you light, and I'm going to incorporate your words into our final song, and we may go just like 1 or 2 minutes over 7:30. But if you are willing to, just place those in the chat at your own pace. And this is, I'm gonna stop the screen share while we do the last one so we can see each other. Those who are on camera, you don't have to be on camera, of course. But these are some lyrics from the song I'm gonna share. It's an original of mine called Call in the Light. It says, call in the light to illuminate your path, shine through the night, share a tear, a smile, a laugh. In here it's so bright and warm, weary traveler, come in from the storm. And again, because I'm going to stop the screen share for our closing, I just want to thank you all for being here this evening. If you would like to stay in touch, my email address is there. You can also get it from Margaret. And Rabbi Shelley Barnathan and I lead a once-a-month virtual interfaith meeting for song, which is still on Zoom, and it's coming up this Thursday, the 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern, if you'd like to attend. Thank you for all the wonderful things you're putting in the chat. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna just do one verse of this and then put in all of your words. Long road stretching out ahead, can't see and here it's so bright and warm. Weary traveler, coming from the storm, I call in the light by going to the campfire. I call in the light through my daughter Mary, and through alignment on Sundays. I call in the light by seeing the smiles of children. I call in the light by sitting by running water, and by being in my garden. I call in the light at my place of worship, through my family, through my child. I call in the light through my daily readers, through my wife and daughters, through my cat, Sweet Pea. I call in the light through my family and my friends, and my place of worship, by walking and swimming. I call in the light by centering. I call in the light through a candle flame, or the flash of a cardinal outside my window when I wake. I call in the light through so many little things in very difficult times. I call in the light by watching a northern flicker at my feeder, and I call in the light through prayer. I call in the light, we all call in the light to get us through the storm, to get us through the storm.
Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate you creating this space together, for allowing me to share, for sharing with one another. I really believe this makes our world a better place to live in, and I value each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much, Reverend Margaret.
I hope you all, as I am, are breathing differently from the way you were when you came here half an hour ago. Thank you, Molly, for your gift. And we are so glad that you will be back with Alignment in 2 weeks, leading a session in person at our retreat. And in 5 weeks again here online with Hazan Harold. We're so grateful for your leadership in Alignment, and for all of you who have been here tonight. I hope you carry this with you through the week, and I do hope you will be back again with us, again online here whenever is comfortable for you. Next week, we will be celebrating the Celtic Festival of Imbolc and thinking about and meditating on what lies dormant in us, waiting to spring in the spring. Thank you, friends, for being here. And Molly, thank you for the gift of you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.